passion, and I always knew I wanted to be a marine biologist. And my passion really started when my dad took me crayfish fishing. And in the nets were these cat sharks, and I was very worried about them because they were cooled into these little balls. And my father used to say to me, just kiss them on the nose and we'll release them and they'll be fine. And that's where my passion for the sharks actually started. And after I did my undergrad at UCT, I went out on a cage diving trip. And the first white shark I ever saw came flying out of the water after a seal. And I knew at that very moment that this is exactly what I wanted to do with my life. Wow, very nice. It's a really exciting day today. This is the first day for me of the season, and we've had one shark. Wasn't expecting it to arrive so quickly, so I'm really happy.
Good 3.
It's incredibly important to make sure that we record every detail about the shark that comes close to the boat.
Gill's on the right, and it's got a little white pigment.
It's about just over 3 meter male, and it hasn't got a lot of scarring. We're trying to get good identification on it, and the best way is to get a photo ID of its dorsal fin. Each dorsal fin is unique, so we can keep tabs on the sharks every single year, every season, to see if the same ones are coming back year after year.
Male.
Also a male. Woohoo! We need to have individual data sheets where we fill in the size, we fill in the sex of the animal, and any identifiable features besides the dorsal fin. And then also look at how many different sharks we get per day, per month, per year, and see whether populations are increasing or decreasing. Also a very distinctive dorsal. Seal Island is probably the best place in the world to study the predator-prey relationships between the Cape Fur seals and the sharks. Great white sharks are right at the top of the food chain. They predate on a variety of species, from fish and seals, even to some invertebrates. And they maintain biodiversity by making sure that one particular prey population doesn't overtake in an ecosystem. The last population estimate for great whites for South Africa was just over 1,200. In the US and Mexico, other hotspots of great whites, they've estimated total populations to be about 200 animals. So we are incredibly fortunate, and we're probably at the forefront of understanding these sharks because we have that accessibility to them. Oh, there it is, right here? Oh, it's coming back under the motor. Wait. They're very curious animals, and they like to investigate everything, and they investigate with their mouths, but then it touches the side of the boat with its body and it gets a fright. It doesn't like that, and so it tries to get out of that situation it's put itself into, and it slaps its tail to go forward. And as it slaps that huge, powerful tail, this shower of water comes over, and that's what we call a shark shower. There were a lot of accusations flying about that I put shark life above human life, and I certainly don't. But I do want to try and give a better understanding of the shark because I have that information. There's still a lot of misconceptions about sharks and a lot of fear. There's never been a case of an example of a serial shark attack kind of situation like there are with man-eating lions. Shark attacks are very traumatic events, and the fear and sensationalism and the hype that is generated by the media creates a situation where you are in a very difficult position. While you're trying to give accurate information on sharks, you need to balance the fact that someone has lost a family member, and you don't want to take anything away from that because it's horrible. But people take that situation, and the fear that it's generated causes some people to want to kill sharks, to want to put in shark nets, to want to build huge barriers to try and prevent these things from happening again. Shark attacks are relatively rare events, and any kind of action that is taken by people or by government needs to be based on accurate information and not emotion. And so it's very important from our side to be able to provide that accurate information. You don't want to see solutions put in place that could have severe consequences for our ecosystems and for our sharks. The Shark Spotting program in Cape Town is a pioneering shark safety program. The aim of the program is trying to find a balance between the safety of recreational water users and the conservation of sharks. And it attempts to do this by providing a warning system for swimmers and surfers at particular beaches. Essentially, you've got a shark spotter on an elevated point and a shark spotter on the adjacent beach, and they're in radio contact with one another. The shark spotter on the mountain is permanently watching for any sharks that are coming close into the area. If he sights a shark, he sounds a siren to alert the swimmers and the water users that there is a shark close by and for them to get out of the water.
I think we've done so well this past 5 years. We spotted up to 550 odd sharks. I mean, that's a lot. And it is working. Back then, whenever we had the sighting, Muizenberg would just be a ghost town within 5 minutes. People just leave. And it would actually take days for them to go back to the waters. But now it's a whole different story. Those people are now going back to the water as soon as the shark is gone. Actually, they believe in us. Well, maybe people are starting to realize that sharks are not necessarily man-eaters.
South Africa has this incredibly rich marine fauna. There are over 450 different species of sharks, and South Africa has over 100 of those. We've got various species of whales and dolphins. We've got thousands of species of marine animals, and we don't have to travel hours or days to get to these areas that have this amazing diversity. It's right here, and I think we're incredibly fortunate to have that situation. We're in an area called Pyramid Rock. It's in Table Mountain National Parks. It's a marine protected area, so there's no fishing allowed here, which means that we've got an abundance of life. We've got about 5 to 6 species of shark that we might see on this dive, but our primary aim is to encounter the 7-gill sharks. And we're taking photo identification of each individual shark to try and learn more about the population dynamics here. Sharks are being fished very, very heavily, and the demand for shark meat and for shark fin soup is increasing all the time. We've got other problems like overfishing of many of our lionfish. How does that impact our shark populations that are feeding on those lionfish? We've got loss of habitat. We're polluting our seas, we're polluting and changing our reefs. How does that impact our shark? And unfortunately, history shows with sharks that are very long-lived, slow-growing, produce few young, they can't sustain heavy fishery. So we need to be concerned, and we need to find out more about how to conserve these animals. Some studies have shown that if you take out the sharks, particularly the large sharks, you get a proliferation of smaller species of shark that are no longer being predated on by large sharks. And these can in turn predate more heavily on bivalve shellfish, and that can cause a complete structural change in the ecosystem. Such an amazing life. I get to do work which is my passion, my hobby. and I have the freedom to go out onto the water, to go and dive, and this is what life is all about. If you have a passion, you have to follow it no matter how difficult it is, because you can live your passion.